Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our amazing universe. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, and you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And today we're going to talk about that little voice within your head. It's like your inner critic that's always judging and criticizing you, and maybe even beating yourself up from the inside out. And, I think what I really wanted to do was talk about ways that we could become friends with that inner critic. And it's not about ignoring it or making it go away. It's about allowing it to play in the sandbox with us, but to play nicely with us, not bullying us, not making us wrong, not judging or criticizing, but just coexisting. Because it isn't a necessity that we have that aspect of ourselves, but I think our normal tendency is to um, push it away and not want to deal with it sometimes, or maybe we ignore it, but it's still there and it's still running the show. So I feel when we are able to embrace what is going on and invite it to come and play with us and become friends with it, you're better off and your overall health and well-being is going to be much, much more improved. So, it's not about silencing that inner critic, but rather understanding and working with it. And sometimes, we need to build a more positive relationship with that aspect of ourself. That's all it is. It's that simple. And sometimes, we don't want to listen to what it has to say. Um, and, our natural tendency is to push something away from us instead of just reaching out and bringing it closer to us. And I have this belief that a lot of times when we have things that happen to us that are, those little voices in our head that you just want to say, shut the hell up. We need to acknowledge what they're saying so they feel like they're not left out. Because our natural tendency is just to push it aside and not deal with it. But yet you have to remember it's still all energy because everything is energy. And I feel that it's important to take a step into that and just be curious like a child, like, so I'm hearing this criticism and why is that so? And help me understand more as to why I'm experiencing this. What happens many times is that those criticisms that pipe up, they may be stemming from fear or insecurity or feeling like you can't really put it into words, but it's more like frustration than anything else. When we have a tendency to push that stuff aside and just ignore it, it still is energetically running the show. And you could put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la, can't hear you, and it is still there. Yes, it's a funny technique to do to kind of take your power back a bit, but it's about not making something right or wrong. It's not a black or white type of thing, it's shades of gray. Between the black and white are all these possibilities of what I call shades of gray, shades of possibilities. And when we try to block something out, it's like a complete disservice to ourselves because I feel there's gifts and wisdom in those things that are trying to grab at our attention, And maybe it's in a nagging or critical way, yet there's still some words of wisdom or gold nuggets, as I call it, that are within that. So what's one to do here? It's just like, so, you validate whatever that emotion is that's coming up. And a lot of times it's, whatever's coming up might not be what you think it is, but something else. So you also want to understand the whys and things. So, ask instead of getting defensive and ask your inner critic, say, oh, well, you're just not good enough. Ask your inner critic why it's saying that. Why am I not good enough? Maybe it's trying to protect you from failure or encourage you to strive for excellence or perfectionism. So, we've talked about perfectionism before on the Dr. Dolores show, and it's a fine line between, you know, having it be something deeper that's creating the perfectionism or just wanting to strive to do the best that you can. So really understanding what the underlying drive is that's creating that. I think what we need to remember that sometimes our inner critic is, maybe harsh, but it's trying to help in its own way. It's like it doesn't know any other way to behave, so it's behaving the way that it is. And I'm losing my voice a little bit today. I'm not sure what that's all about. Another thing to remember too is that when we have our little inner critic, we need to really, decide if that is really our truth or is it just an unhelpful thought pattern. Okay, so let's take that in a step further. Maybe the inner critic is trying to protect us from possibly being hurt again. So, it's saying, "Oh no, 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 you shouldn't be doing that, or you're not good enough." So why would you? It's wanting you to doubt your possibilities because let's put it this way, it's afraid. It's had your inner critic is kind of had record of all the things that you've done and is keeping score as to okay how you performed on this and how you performed with that. Isn't that sick? It's like your inner scorekeeper. Well, we need to who made that up? We need to change that and say, okay, I understand that you're trying to protect me from possibly failing, yet I understand that you don't want to be hurt or upset. And I also understand that you're doing the best that you can with the information that you know. And just because something happened before, this is a different time and place. And who's to say that the outcome may not be different or may be different? So it's about, I'm going to say, not compromising with your inner critic, but just basically stating facts and knowing that, okay, this is happening, this inner critic's coming up. My gut is telling me to do A, B, and C, but the inner critic's telling me to do N MNOP, and it's definitely a contrast, and it's not really making any sense. So it's about learning how to acknowledge what your inner critic is saying to you and not making what it's saying your truth because it's not, because we create our reality moment to moment. Your inner critic is basing your current situation on past performance, if you want to call it that, for those people who are into that type of language. um, and this is not true. It's like it's missing the whole picture. The inner critic is just one aspect of the bigger picture. And sometimes it may be that it's trying to protect you, and it thinks it's doing a good job. Yet sometimes we are trusting our intuition, what we're getting intuitively, and what the inner critic is saying. It's almost like, well, this is what happened when you did it the last time, blah 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 blah. And history repeats itself. That's what the inner critic's saying. Yet Your gut is telling you, go for it, go for it. So, what you need to do is just have some self compassion for yourself and your inner critic. I'm finding that self compassion is like it's the big energy right now, meaning that many of us are going through very interesting times. I'm going to say maybe we're clearing out a lot of emotional debris that is no longer working for us. It's like we're unpacking our energetic backpack of all those beliefs and experiences that we've had earlier in our life that have molded us to where we are right now, but are no longer necessary as we move forward in our ascension process. So, what that really means is this: we have a tendency to experience things and we judge and criticize and become our own little inner critic. And it's about embracing compassion. I'm finding that embracing compassion, particularly self compassion, is like the secret sauce right now that's allowing you a lot of grace to just move through things so quickly without having to repeat them, without having to relive them, without having to re experience them. So just allow yourself self compassion. And if you don't know what that is, just focus on the word self compassion. It has a vibratory quality to it that allows, it's a higher energetic vibrating word. That when you just focus on the word and the energy of the word, that is just enough to flip you into self compassion. So you're able to allow whatever is in your space that is trying to one up you or trying to take control over you to just allow it to dissipate. I also like the violet flame of Saint Germain. Saint Germain is a he's an ascended master that works with karmic conditions and to allow that violet flame to purge through whatever's going on as well, because this will allow the energy to get transformed, transcended, and transmuted so it goes to its next adventure. We talk about self-compassion, and a lot of times people don't know what that is, or they don't even can't even imagine what that is. So I'm just going to invite you, just imagine a friend. How would you talk to a friend going through the same situation? Use that kindness for yourself. So talk to yourself as if you were talking to a friend going through the same situation. When we're able to experience things from that perspective, we are able to step into our power and to be able to make different choices because we're coming from a place of observing versus reacting. And trust me, there's so much react in our world right now. I give it the analogy of playing whack-a-mole at the fair. For those of you who don't know what that is, you go to the county fair and there's this game and the mole comes up and you have this mallet click and it comes up someplace else and you're whacking the mole. And it's very reactive because you don't know where the mole's going to come up. So you don't know where these patterns are going to come up in our lives. And we're hitting it with a mallet so we control it, so we're trying to control what's coming up, and it's very reactive instead of taking the step deeper, observing it, having a dialogue with it, embracing it, and allowing it to offer the gifts that are there for us. Yes, sometimes it's very challenging when you feel like you're up against the wall, but this is where the grace and self-compassion is so important. So we're getting ready to start our next break or our first break on the Dr. Dolores Show. And we've been talking about befriending your inner critic. So when we return, we'll talk more about self-compassion and ways that you could assist yourself with befriending your inner critic. So stay tuned and we'll talk to you soon.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're talking about befriending your inner critic today on the Dr. Dolores Show. I feel the inner critic is that little voice within your head that judges, criticizes you, and tries to make you wrong and bullies you and just is just that nasty schoolyard person that just is always pushing you down and stuff like that. And it's not external, it's internal. That's the thing. So we're going to learn how to befriend that today and acknowledge that, the inner critic is not something that you want to just ignore. You want to acknowledge it and make sure that, it is being valued, respected, and appreciated. Yet it's important for us to set boundaries with it, just like you would with any other external person or idea. Set boundaries with it and keep your boundaries strong and just be kind and gracious to the inner critic, but also to yourself as well. We talk a lot about self-compassion on the Dr. Dolores Show because I feel self-compassion right now is the essential ingredient to allowing people to move through their ascension process with a lot of grace and ease. Too often we've been beating ourselves up at nauseum and trying to be perfect and trying to control things, and especially when things we're in reactive state or we get triggered. And I find the quickest way to move through something is just to offer myself self-compassion. And before the break, we were talking a little bit more about that. self-compassion, for some people, they just don't know what it is, but it's almost like being your own best friend. Okay, you would, if you were a best friend of yours was going through what you're going through, those words that you would be saying to your best friend, those are the words that you need to be saying to yourself. That's what self-compassion is. um it's important. The core elements of self-compassion, I just want to go over a couple of them. It's self-kindness, and it involves being gentle and supportive with yourself during difficult times. Imagine how you'd treat a close friend through a similar situation. We just mentioned that. Self-compassion, a core issue, is also a common humanity, recognizing that suffering and imperfection is part of the human experience. This can be very comforting because a lot of times we forget that. We think that, we have to be perfect and we're above having any suffering. But these are all important aspects that are going to allow you to grow at your deepest soul level. So you will, gain the wisdom that from these experiences, even though they feel like they're not the most pleasant things to go through in the moment at hand. And a lot of people, you're not alone with that. Everybody is going through stuff. And if they say they're not, I'm going to say liar, liar, pants on fire, because that's not the truth. I feel what's really important too is just being mindful of your behavior and what you're doing and how you're doing it. When you're mindful, this is where you have the awareness. And when you have the awareness, this is how you're allowed to shift and make a change without feeling as if you're being persecuted, punished, um, made wrong. What I find happens for many people is that when you are being persecuted, these are things that we do to ourselves, but they're projected out from us as well. So when people are not aware or mindful, it's like they're being in react mode. And that's where a lot of projection comes in. And so it's very telling for me when a person starts spewing things onto either my space or somebody else's space. They're projecting all these things that they truly feel about themselves because it's like they're in a pressure cooker. Okay. When you're not aware of this is what the dynamic is. A person who's not aware is like a pressure cooker. All these things kind of build up, and maybe they've been functioning in a way where they are in react mode and they get triggered and all their stuff starts building up because they're not aware that it's theirs. It's all unconscious. And it's like it's like a pressure cooker. And when you know what a pressure cooker works, the steam builds up and then there has to be a release valve. So the release valve is the projection of all that stuff onto somebody else outside of themselves in hopes that they will take it on as their truth, when in essence, it's not even their truth. It is the person who is the pressure cooker that's spewing it out. And then they feel better and then they go on. So it's just like they project what is going on within themselves. To me, it's very telling when a person is projecting, because whatever they're projecting onto myself or another person tells me a lot about what they think about themselves. Interesting. It has nothing to do with you. It tells you the story of who they are and how they feel, how they truly feel about themselves. It has nothing to do with you or the person. The unconscious dance that happens is this. They're hoping that by them spewing off that excess pressure in the pressure cooker onto you, that you will take it on as your truth and heal it for them. How sick is that? Seriously. So no, you just say, no, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. I always like saying, Shay, thank you very much for sharing what you truly feel about yourself. And I walk away. I mean, you might want to try that sometimes, but that is about witnessing and just having some self-compassion for them and some grace, because they're not aware and awake yet. and they're not mindful. They are in react mode. So mindfulness is key when you're able to look at having compassion. And so some of the benefits of having self-compassion is that you increase your resilience, you're kinder to yourself, and you can bounce back from challenges more easily. And like I said, when you're not really sure what self-compassion is, just focus on the word self-compassion. And right now, I'm just going to invite you, just close your eyes and just think about and feel the word self-compassion. And just feel what that feels like. So that energy is what is going to allow you to, I want to say, inflow whatever that critical thinking aspect of yourself is doing. So when you're flooding that area with self-compassion, it's that energy that's much higher vibrating, and everything that's the inner critic is doing is going to come to more of a neutral type of aspect. So I invite you to play with that. Words do have vibrations and frequencies because everything is energy. Okay. So just remember that. One of the benefits too of having self-compassion, you're going to have reduced anxiety and depression because self-compassion can help you manage negative emotions in a healthy way. Just just from what I just shared with you, it's going to improve your motivation. It's like you're going to be starting to get your power back and your energy back because you are no longer allowing those thoughts that are just sucking your energy to run your life. So it's like you're clearing up real estate, valuable real estate within your energetic field that's going to allow you to have more motivation and allow you to enhance your creativity. And another bonus point of that too, it's going to allow you more access to listen to your higher self and your intuition as well, because you're going to be more physically present in your body than you were before. Okay. You're going to develop more stronger relationships when you're compassionate towards yourself. It allows you to be more compassionate towards others because remember, everything starts with us first, really. Self-love, self-worth, self-value, self-respect. What's the common thing? Self starts with self first. Now, we know what self-compassion is. I want to just share some things that what self-compassion is not, because I think that's important too. It's not about self-pity and dwelling on your problems without taking action to improve things. Okay. That's like becoming a victim. Okay. We always have a choice in life. Believe it or not, people find that hard to believe, but being a victim is a choice as well. Okay. One of the things self-compassion is not is also self-indulgence. And what that means, it's like giving yourself permission to do whatever you want, regardless of the consequences. So it's not about like flipping the switch 180. It's about allowing yourself the grace to, if you need to take time for yourself, by all means take it. But it's not about giving yourself carte blanche to do whatever you want, regardless of the consequences. And self-compassion is also not about letting yourself off the hook. It's allowing you to learn from what we label as mistakes. I call them educational opportunities for soul growth. That's what they are. And so it's about allowing yourself to take the wisdom that you gained from that experience, but it doesn't negate taking responsibility. So you need to be responsible and be self-aware enough to realize, okay, I learned from this experience and I'm going to move forward. And I'm going to share a real quick thing. I had something happen to me earlier this year where I actually, we all have our triggers, and I got triggered really bad because after like 6 weeks of dealing with this, I had enough. And And of course there was some reactive behavior, which I'm not very happy about because I should know better, and yet I'm a human being, and pretty much my buttons were pushed to the limit because and anyway, I'm not going to make excuses for that. But I learned a valuable thing because I realized that I lead by example, and I really wasn't setting a good example on how to work with that. And it allowed me to go deeper within myself so that I could learn what I needed to learn from that and look at things from a different perspective. And I know it has made me a better person because of that experience. So we've been talking today about befriending your inner critic through self-compassion. And you're on the Dr. Dolores Show, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And when we return, we will talk some more about befriending your inner critic. Stay tuned.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And our episode today is called Befriending Your Inner Critic. And before our breaks, we were talking about what the inner critic is and how some of the ways that you could tame the shrew of the inner critic and how you embrace that with self-compassion. And self-compassion is something that I feel that is an essential aspect of moving forward with our ascension process today in these times, the interesting times we're all moving through. And this is probably one of the swiftest ways to embrace what's going on without reliving anything or really trying to stuff it, hide it, ignore it. Having self-compassion is like the secret sauce that just allows you the grace to move through things a lot smoother, swifter, and with more love and self-love and love and self-forgiveness as well. So people often ask too, so what are some good self-compassion practices that, one could learn? And of course, mindfulness based practices, anything that's mindful. And let me explain this a little bit. Mindful activity is anything that's going to allow you to be anchored in your physical body. Okay. When you're anchored in your physical body, you're able to be in the present moment. Mindfulness activity equals present moment. That's simple. We've all had those things that we've been doing, and some of them, could be range from doing athletic things where it's like you're in your zone, where you kind of lose all sense of time and place. And, you'll be doing it and 4 hours go by in a snap of a finger. That's what we consider a mindful activity. It's like timelessness. You just lose all sense of time and place. For some people, it could be driving in a car, going on a road trip. For some people, it's like being in nature, maybe gardening. For some people, it's doing creative activities like, art. And for some people, it's music, performing, or playing an instrument. It could be as regimented as sitting in lotus position doing meditation to something really simple like going for a walk on the beach. What is interesting is that we need to make it our unique thing. What's going to work for somebody else as a mindful activity may not be in alignment with who we are. So it's about doing self exploration and finding out what is going to allow you that timelessness where you just get lost in all time and place. And then allow and give yourself permission to do that activity. Because a lot of us have a tendency to bounce from that and go into their head and think, oh my God, I should be doing this, that, and the other. Key thing here is that when you leave this here in your body and pop into your head, you're no longer in the flow of the information that you're going to and the wisdom you're going to receive when you're planted in your body, when you're doing a mindful activity. So when so mindful activities and mindful observation are really important. So just being aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment, without criticizing it, and just acknowledging that it's a thought and not the truth. Actually doing loving kindness meditations, and I think this might be the appropriate time that we do a little brief meditation. And I'm going to talk you through this because I love doing meditations on the show because it gives people the ability to integrate some of the things that we have been talking about. So I think I'm going to hop on over and do a meditation right now. And it's called the Loving Kindness Meditation for Self-Compassion. So right now I'm going to invite you to sit or lie down in a way that allows you to relax. And just close your eyes gently or soften your gaze if that feels more comfortable. Take a few deep breaths, inhaling slowly and deeply through your nose and exhaling slowly through your mouth. Feel your body settle with each breath. Notice the natural rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. Don't try to control your breath, simply observe the rhythm because there's a rhythm there. With each exhale, release any tension you might be holding. And with each inhale, feel your body settle with each breath. With each exhale, release any tension you might be holding and gently bring your attention to yourself. Imagine yourself surrounded by a warm, gentle light. just like a blanket. This light represents self-compassion, kindness, and understanding. And just allow that blanket to gently wrap around you. It feels yummy and delicious, doesn't it? And just repeat these phrases silently or aloud to yourself, allowing them to sink into your heart. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I live with ease. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. As you repeat these phrases, feel the warmth and kindness of the light enveloping you like that blanket. That warm, beautiful blanket. If your mind wanders, gently bring your attention back to the words and the feelings of self-compassion. Now imagine someone you care about deeply, perhaps a friend, a family member, or even a pet. Visualize them surrounded by the same warm, gentle light of self-compassion, that beautiful blanket that you put around yourself. Allow it to encompass those people that you choose and also your pets. Silently repeat these phrases for them. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with ease. May you be kind to yourself. May you accept yourself as you are. Feel the positive energy radiating towards them and enveloping them just like a warm blanket, wishing them well-being and happiness. Once again, return your awareness to yourself and the warm light of self-compassion, that beautiful blanket that's wrapped around you. Briefly acknowledge any challenges you might be facing, and then repeat the phrases for yourself. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I live with ease and grace. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. And just allow the kindness to wash over you, filling you with a sense of peace and self-acceptance. And when you're ready, I invite you to take a few deep breaths again. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe slowly stretch your body. And when you're ready, open your eyes, carrying the warmth and gentleness of self-compassion with you throughout the day. Remember, self-compassion is a journey, not a destination. Remember to be patient with yourself and come back to this practice when you need a reminder of your inherent worth and deservingness of kindness. And you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're talking about befriending your inner critic today. So stay tuned when we come back from our break and we'll wrap it up. Take care.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that guided meditation for self-compassion, and I invite you to go and revisit that whenever you need to. So I want to talk a little bit about the infomercial that you've just probably heard in between. And we're starting a new project in August, launching that, and it's called I'm Awake, Now What? And I'm really excited about this because I'm co-partnering with a colleague of mine, Cozy Stankantis, who's a body talk practitioner. And we both found that there's a lot of people out there that have woken up and they feel like they're in uncharted territory and don't really have a reference point as to what's next, or even don't even have the resources on how to figure out what's next. So we decided we're going to have a monthly virtual program, and it's a membership, and it's offering support, insight, tools, and community, and also clarity as you maneuver through what's next for you. So if you're interested in this, I invite you to go visit our page on my website. It's at drdoloresfazzino.com/I'm-awake-now-what. And read more about that. And if this aligns with you, we'd love to have you. It's a monthly virtual conference, and it's recorded, and there's a community as well. And look forward to supporting you in any way that we can possibly do that on your ascension journey. So circling back here, I want to talk about some of the takeaways today from our show. I feel that, especially let's talk about self-compassion first. Treat yourself with kindness. Remember to treat yourself as if you're talking to a friend of yours, because it's about you becoming your own best friend. Remember that you're not alone. Everyone makes mistakes and experiences challenges. And if they say they don't, well, they're not a human being, okay? Acknowledge that suffering is part of the human experience. It is. We label it as suffering. They're educational opportunities. I invite you to challenge negativity. Don't believe everything your inner critic tells you. Reframe your negative self-talk with more realistic and compassionate statements. And like I was saying, self-compassion is huge. Practice self-soothing, deep breathing, relaxation techniques, mindful activity. These are self-soothing things that are going to get you out of your head and into your physical body. And this is going to allow you to manage the stress and anxiety that you might be experiencing because of that inner critic chatter that's going on. And make self-compassion a habit. Incorporate it into your daily practice. And, if you need to, look at a guided meditation for self-compassion. Really do your best to implement that in one of your daily practices, or as your daily practice, or one of your many daily practices, like in my book. When you're able to function from a place of self-compassion, your world changes. It's like the rough edges gets sanded away and smoothed out. And it's about just being more kind and gentle to ourselves. So some of the things to remember about befriending your inner critic is silence the bully, not the message. Don't try to shut out or ignore the inner critic, because it is an aspect of you that wants to be acknowledged, loved, and appreciated and valued, just like we do. So just allow it to say what it needs to say and say thank you. And we're going to have to agree to disagree. And it's learning how to play with all our aspects in the sandbox nicely together. You may want to uncover the why instead of getting defensive. Ask your inner critic questions. Why are you saying that? What is the fear or insecurity? Understand the root cause that may to help you address it constructively. You might want to fact check and refrain. I mean, I crack up when I see fact check, because it's like, oh yeah, it's like I'm going to go and Google this and see if it's a fact or fiction. We might have to do the same thing within ourselves. Don't take everything your critic says at face value. It is the objective truth. Is it objective true? Is it objectively true, or is it just unhelpful thought patterning? Turn I'm a failure into this is a learning experience, and just challenge yourself that way. Show compassion, not contempt. Don't attack yourself. Shift if you're a tendency to attack yourself to self-compassion. Imagine how you'd like to talk to a friend going through the same thing, and just imagine that you're the best friend. Your inner critic is your best friend, and you're talking it through there. Develop tools for inner dialogue. I want to rename your inner critic, like maybe Debbie Downer, or something fun to just play with it and just say, oh yeah, there's like, there goes my inner critic, and she's going to be the Doolittle whatever. We just name it and just make it fun and stuff like that. So what I want to leave you with is this. How will you choose to treat yourself today? Will you offer kindness and understanding, or will you fall back into self-criticism? Remember, the choice is yours. So next week on the Dr. Dolores Show, we're going to be talking about the inner child. And I haven't done much with the inner child, but I feel that the inner child is very, very important, because it is aspects of ourself that sometimes have been fractured off in another time and place, and they're kind of running the show. And this little person inside of us is just sitting there waiting for us to reconnect with it and call ourselves back. So it's about learning how to play with your inner child and to allow that aspect of yourself to be reintegrated and reintroduced to yourself, so you can have a more complete and whole life, and continue to call back your power from other times and places where it's been stuck and trapped. When we're able to embrace those lost aspects of ourselves, the world is our oyster. We're able to create and to move forward with so much more grace and ease. So thank you so much for listening this week. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, an energy whisperer. And remember, you are worth it.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.